Welcome back to TLT Talks. Today we got a very exciting guest for you, a dear friend, someone that I think is incredibly like-minded. It's a beautiful day out. I hope you're enjoying this day. Thanksgiving. I hope that you are grateful. I know it's been a tough year. I know there's been a lot going on, but still, there's plenty to be grateful for. Plenty to be grateful for family, for friends, for any opportunities that may have come up. We're live, we're breathing. Sean, my man, go ahead and make that little request so I can get you on here. Instagram has we've been shouting Instagram out. We've been shouting them out. Get your game up. It shouldn't be so hard to get somebody in the show. They have made an update. You can now click the little user thing, and I think they heard us. I think you push hard enough, you get an outcome, man. I think they heard us. Here we go.
Yo, what's up, buddy?
My man, Sean Sasse. How goes it?
It's going well, man. Yeah, it's going really well. It's great to see you. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy belated Thanksgiving. How was your Thanksgiving in the city?
It was good. Small. We had just a couple of members of our family come by. Kids ran around nuts. They love Julie's turkey. It was good. And yourself?
It was good, man. It was virtual. We were hoping to have it at my house for the first time. But my mom's a little older, so we decided to go virtual. But it was really fantastic. We had a whole day of like Thanksgiving activities virtually for the kids planned and arts and crafts stuff. It was really nice. Yeah.
Smart. It's very smart.
Play a little online cards.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to my good friend Sean Sasse. He's a licensed real estate salesperson with Compass. He was born in the Bronx. Spent some time growing up in Orange and Westchester County. Moved to New York City in 2010. A fashion guru, D&G, Ferragamo, Coach, Barney's. John Varvatos personally handpicked him to manage all the U.S. clientele. So that guy makes a pick. It's pretty solid. He joined Element in 12, then Compass at 14, which is right when I joined. And let me tell you when I know somebody's for real. This is just me. This is just my read on things, how I know we're like-minded. This dude, Sean, went and bought himself a house, was buying himself a house, went to the closing, and was right around the time of Tony Robbins' UPW, Unleash the Power Within, did the closing, and right from the closing, got in his car and drove to the UPW. Like, that is commitment, man. That's how I knew, like, we're going to be bros, man. That's how I knew.
Yeah, no doubt. I had to get mentally ready to take this next step. You know what I mean? It's the real deal.
That's right. For those that may not know UPW, it is 4 days, 12 to 15 hours a day. I mean, it is really intense. So look, let me give a little bit of a frame to what's going on today, and then Sean, I'd love for you to tell us your story a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
The unthinkable has happened, people. The unthinkable has happened. It used to be that New York City, Brooklyn, bidding wars, 30 buyers at every open house, had to get in first. And there are those that may think New York City is dead. I don't happen to be one of those people. As a matter of fact, I know for a fact it's not, because on the year we've got nearly 500 transactions between rentals and sales. However, it's deals. New York City is on sale right now. There's certainly deals to be had. Whereas Long Island, New Jersey, Westchester, what are some of the burbs? Some of the burbs I can't even think. Connecticut. Connecticut.
Crazy.
Insane. Bidding wars, 20-30% up, 30 people at the first open house, waiving contingencies, waiving inspection. The unthinkable has happened. So we try to add a lot of value to our viewers. And once we do the live, it's also going to get circulated to over 100,000 people. And I thought I would bring on a real pro, someone that's on that works both in New York City and the suburbs, specifically Westchester, just to talk on this phenomenon, this market, where things are going. So, Sean, I thought of you first as my Westchester expert.
Yeah.
With that, why don't you tell the folks? I know you're a badass man, but why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you do, whatever you want to share.
So I mean, I'm definitely not a newbie to Westchester at all. Like Eugene said, I came up here when I was about 13, and then moved to Orange County first, and then to Westchester when I was 16. Went to the Harvey School. It's a prestigious private school in Westchester. It's really, really well known. And so I've been in and around this space for a very long time. And I knew, like, once, I got married and had kids and wanted to make that next step, that we would be in Westchester because it just felt like home. I mean, we did a hardcore search in Long Island because we were originally living in Queens. But just they're just two very different places. I mean, just the overall like topography and what you get from a lifestyle perspective in Westchester is just very different from Queens. And so we came up here and we visited a good friend and Compass broker, Ben Glazer. And I mean, I kid you not, like we drove up here to his daughter's birthday party. We go like through a little underpass. We come out, the sun is setting on a lake. We're like, yo, what is this? But like, I completely I was like, yeah, I completely forgot how much I loved Westchester. And that was it. It was a wrap. And so, I mean, from there, even in 2018, when we moved up, it was a very tough market. There was still the start of a budding market in Westchester. And I mean, we took a year and a half to find a house, multiple bidding wars. It was a really serious market. And so I think that is just that has skyrocketed over the past few months, over this year. And so expanding my business into Westchester was just a natural thing. I partnered up with the Why Westchester team, which is Lindsay Rothman and Maya Sheehan and Phil Patafio. And so we are able to cover all of Westchester. It's a really big place. It's a lot of ground to cover. And we also extend the team into Connecticut as well.
Very cool. So if someone's looking for a place, Westchester or Connecticut, I mean, New York City, they should call me. Sorry. But Westchester.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, absolutely. That's right.
Westchester or Connecticut, you're the man. Yeah, they should reach out to you for any real estate needs. All right, it's very cool. Sean, on this team and on the show, we like to have a little fun. Why don't you share a little fun fact about yourself?
Yeah, so I would say fun fact is that I am a homeowner survivor. I mean, I've been through it, man. I tell you, like, you know, even my team members are like, wow, you really experienced the entire, like, the full circle of owning a home. I mean, from sewage backups to doing repairs to plumbing stuff to electrical to just owning land. I own an acre of land, you know, for your New York City people. It's 25,000 square feet, or no, 40,000 square feet. So yeah, I mean, it's all yours, and that's something that I didn't realize when I bought a house. I thought, you know, you think like utilities, mortgage payments, done. I got this.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah. But then it's a whole other deal. So. Yeah,
sure, I'm gonna have to have a conversation with my wife. She's pushing me out of Williamsburg, man. She's like, that's it. I want a house. I want a backyard. I'm like, we live in this beautiful ivory tower penthouse, and she's running around the apartment like, I can't live like this anymore. But I'm trying to tell. Listen, when you buy a house, it's like buying a business. It's literally like it's like running a business. You know, it's not like it is here where you call the doorman or the super. Like this
none of that.
Shit gets real, man.
Yeah, none of that. None of that. No, it is definitely a unique experience owning a home. And so, you know, but I am forever grateful for it. I think this experience has definitely brought our family much closer. It's taught us to just be more resourceful and to figure things out. You know, when you can't call a super, you can't call a doorman. It helps us to like figure things out in a different way. So I still highly encourage it. There's just some things you should speak to a broker before you do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, ladies and gentlemen, for all of your Westchester and Connecticut needs, or if you've never owned a house,
you just have some questions.
Give Sean a call. He's, as it sounds, he's been through the whole gambit, the whole spectrum of things that can happen. So let's jump in, Sean. Look, the thing I want to talk about most was market pulse, right? So I mean, most of my business is here, but I've never gotten. Like, your Compass as well, we constantly have like referral things going on with other states, in some cases even other countries. And holy moly, man, I've never gotten this many people reaching out to me about a referral for the burbs.
Yeah,
like literally today, I got, 3 more people that want like New Jersey or whatever. Family members of mine have bought in New Jersey. So, I mean, look, for the sake of this conversation, I'm happy to focus on Westchester, but then for the higher level conversation of where things going, I think the burbs are kind of like more or less the same. Yeah. So talk to me about market pulse. I mean, like, what's it like? What's it like? What's it like? What's the market like?
Yeah, of course. No, I mean, so we're looking at increases about 31% in sales volume, which is fantastic for sellers.
You mean year over year?
Yes, year over year.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, year over year. And I would say Westchester is really broken down into several different markets and sub-markets. And so depending on where you are looking in, as you're making the transition out of Manhattan or Brooklyn, you should really try to pinpoint where you want to be, and that will kind of dictate where the market is. But we're looking at, overall increases of about 31%.
Sorry, when you say increases, you mean the amount of transactions, or you mean the prices are up about 30%?
Sales volume. Yes, sales volume.
Sales
Yeah,
volume.
the value of properties.
Holy moly.
We're seeing inventory at an all-time low, especially for unique inventory. And that's one thing that we've seen more than anything else. The majority of the buyers that have helped over the past year have primarily been from Brooklyn. There's been a few Manhattan buyers here and there, spattered throughout, but primarily from Brooklyn. And so, just like Brooklyn it brings that whole art and life and livelihood to the market. So if you want something that's not so cookie cutter, your inventory and your options are much, much lower. But if you're just looking to get in the door, you do have a plethora of options, but they go quickly.
Right.
We're seeing,
and it makes sense. It makes sense, right? Because for the people that are in Brooklyn, I mean, this is a little bit of a generalization, but lots of scenarios of Brooklyn owners, buyers, rent, whatever, Brooklyn residents is especially when you look at a Park Slope, a Williamsburg, a Brooklyn Heights, a downtown Brooklyn, it's like proximity to Manhattan. Yep. And then when you go to Westchester, the proximity to Manhattan isn't all that different, right?
Very
like
true.
It's about the same. So if I could be, and the amount that prices have, skyrocketed in Brooklyn over the last, 10 years, now all of a sudden, I can spend $3 million for a penthouse in Williamsburg, or I can spend $3 million for like 5 acres or whatever.
House. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm taking a client out to actually view some $3 million properties next week, this weekend on Sunday. They're from Brooklyn. They're selling their property in Carroll Gardens. And we're looking at 5,000 to as much as 8,000 square foot houses on about 2 acres of land. That's a lot. It's a lot of house.
That's a lot of house.
Yeah, it's a lot of house.
It's a big business. It's a lot of house.
Yeah, and I would say, what I would definitely encourage all the agents to see this is use a referral broker. Don't just let your clients just go out into the market and try to find a property if they're not going to be purchasing in your market. Over the past 8 months, we've been past 13.5 million in referral business. Out of that 13.5 million, I'm going to be returning about $85,000 to brokers.
Yeah, for sure.
Which that's cash in your pocket. It's cash that you would have missed out on, and it's also opportunities to make sure that your clients are well taken care of.
That's right.
And make sure that those relationships are intact throughout the entire process.
For sure. I was just gonna say, it's like there's nowhere that it says you have to do really great things for free, right? Like, it's really. The primary focus is always to make sure that the clients are taken care of, and then listen, you spend all this time, energy building a business, building a referral stream, to monetize your relationships. So I totally support that. Gordon was on here. He says, "You both inspire me, gents. Thank you."
See him.
Happy. It's funny that we inspire Gordon. Like, I don't
know.
I know that it's possible that it's this way, not actually the other way around.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, Gordon Golub is like a 20-year, veteran tyrant in this. Tyrant's the wrong word.
No, not tyrant. No, he's not a tyrant.
What's the word I'm looking for?
Giant.
Yeah. He's the man. He's the man in this business.
Great guy.
Something's going on with me today in my work. It's too nice. I'm getting ready to go outside. Cool. So Market Pulse says things are busy. Can you give a very quick overlay? So let's say me, I know nothing about Westchester. So if we were talking about Brooklyn, I'd say, hey, look, starting in Brooklyn, you start, around this price range, just very high level.
Yeah, for sure.
Like lay of the land of what's going on.
Yeah. So you're gonna be looking at
Halpert says too much turkey tequila. Halpert, you know me too well, man. You know me too well, Halpert.
Oh man. It's it definitely, there are definitely different pockets and different experiences you can have in Westchester. I would say the majority of clients that we're meeting with are looking heavily into the river towns. The river towns are Dobbs Ferry, Tarrytown, Ardsley, Irvington, anything closer to the city, even Bronxville as well could be considered. But anything close to the city, because once things are back to normal, then we'll be commuting back again. For my family and I, we were open and we were open to location, but we were also priced out. And so I think that's what a lot of people are seeing. You may want to be in the river towns, and then as you start to do some research, you'll see that the market and the pricing is increasing so quickly that you'll end up moving further north. If you're coming from the city, which you most likely will be, your commuting time isn't really that bad, and it's also a very different commute. My commute down to the city and back up is sitting down on the train, riding the train along the Hudson River, watching the sunset. It's like, it's not bad. There's no showtime. There's no guys dancing around you. You know what I mean? It's no crazy.
Versus sitting in traffic on the BQE and the Gowanus.
Exactly.
Like sitting in the tunnel.
Yeah, and so I mean, you're going to see very different price points as you look at different markets and different submarkets throughout Westchester. But I would say for the million dollar and below buyer, you're going to be in the toughest part of the market for sure. You're looking at first time buyers, people who were renting previously in the city. If you're looking at purchasing a $500 to $600,000 house, your mortgage is probably going to be somewhere around like $3,000 to $3,500. That's a normal two-bedroom rent in the city for the most part, you know, and that's going to be able to secure your mortgage. In Westchester, and you're going to have, you know, a pretty substantial house somewhere around like 2,000 to 3,000 square feet.
And then if you want to do like, you know, interest only or whatever, you could do even better on the monthlies, which a lot of people gravitate to. So basically, if I want a home in Westchester, the entry level is like 500-600 grand, and that's going to be in the, you know, pushed out part. And then if I want to be like prime Westchester, then I'm essentially 2-3 million and over, right?
Yeah, 2 to 5 million. Yeah, 2 to 5 million for sure. I think 5 million should open up a large window of options for you in Westchester, regardless of what market you're going to be in. And I think once you do hit that ceiling in terms of pricing, it really just comes down to your style and what you're looking for. You know, true mid-century modern properties are extremely hard to come by and very, very sought after. You know, anything built between 1950 and 1975 is absolute prime property, and especially if it has, you know, a Frank Lloyd Wright kind of feel or anything like that, you know, you're going to be in a bidding war, and that's at 2 million, that's at $3 million. You're going to be in a bidding war because inventory like that is so low. You know, but I think everybody coming into all right. So I think what happens when you think of Westchester, you get this picture in your mind of like the Stepford Wives,
Pleasantville, straight up.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's like beautiful. It's like this, like Pleasantville. Like who named the town Pleasantville? You know, it's like, and that's what you think of. Like everybody's neighborly, and you know what I mean. And that is the case, but it's also what you make it. You know what I mean? It really. And I think that's just going to change over the next few years in Westchester. We're seeing such a large influx of people from the city coming in that the entire demographic, the entire look and feel is going to mature and change. It's going to be more open and more diverse. And I really do feel like that's what Westchester has needed over the past few years.
Right. Well, you know, that actually transitions us really well. So thank you for that very thorough. I feel like I now have some understanding. People are like, oh, what's up, Westchester? Like, I have some understanding of how to respond. Somewhere between 500 and 10 million, call Sean. That's right. That's right. Somewhere between 500 grand and 10 million, call Sean. That's my answer.
Yeah, very true. Or just call Sean, whatever.
Or just call Sean. It's the emoji, right? Hey, what's up, Westchester? Call Sean.
Call Sean. Yeah, no, for sure. Absolutely.
All right, cool, man. So look, I'm not going to hold you to this. No anybody else watching. No one has a crystal ball. Here's my question. So today, the one thing that I think is the big look, people might say New York City dead. That's total bullshit, right?
That's not the case.
As a matter of fact, Making of Tyler was one of my clients. They did a really cool piece, that Seinfeld article that he did. They did a huge like building size banner, and it got a lot of press. And like I think Seinfeld said it best. Like, listen, this is still New York City. You know, like right now, things are whatever.
It's a transition point.
So here's my question to you. I have to be honest in saying that COVID changed my philosophy on business, right? I was you have to be in the office guy, right? Like, we have a team of almost 20 people. We have a staff of like 5. The agents are independent contractors, so they do what they do. But all of our meetings were in person. There was none of this like Zoom, call in, whatever. It was like you're in the meeting, because you know how I feel about energy, and it's, energy is a commodity. It's a real thing. And so I was like, you have to be in the office. Then my staff, we had hours, like, they work days from 8:30 to 6. I'm mobile after that, but we had office hours. Around March, things started happening. I moved us to work from home. And, for 6 months now, we've been working from home, and I have to say that I'm transformed. Energy still, like a Zoom meeting, still not the same as an in-person thing. However, the productivity, the convenience, there's no more traffic, saving cost on commute, all those things. I got to be honest in saying, I don't know that I'm ever going to go back to the office, right? Like, I don't know that I'm ever again going to be full-time in the office or make the staff full-time in the office. Probably going to be like a 1 or 2 days a week in the office kind of thing. Do your meetings, whatever. But for the most part, we're never going to go back to full-time in the office, I don't think. If any of my staff is watching this, I haven't told you that yet, but congratulations. We're going to mostly be like, Melina's got muscles. Melina's flexing. Melina, the meetings will still be in the office, but no, seriously, for the most part. So, and I'm a small company, right? I'm a really small business. you know, so like whatever. I'm a very small business, 20 people, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I know people, you know, I know executives at JP Morgan that are friends of mine that they run big teams, 20, 30,
Yeah.
40, 50 people. And about 3 or 4 months ago, they basically said they're changing their model.
Yeah.
And then these people on these teams that don't have a reason to be in the office, like if you're an agent, you have to show apartments, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But if you're in a law office, you're a paralegal, whatever, you don't need to be in the office. So
Yeah.
some of these JP Morgan teams, they basically went to their teams that don't need to be in the office and said, we'll keep your salary the same, but just know you can move anywhere in the country. We don't care because your job's not virtual.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so yeah, I'm being a little long-winded. My point is this. New York City is definitely not dead. Mm-hmm. However, I don't know that we ever go back to what it was, because the main reason, if you did a common denominator answer for the millions of people that live in New York City, you know, I'd say 60, 70% would be something around close to work, right?
Yeah, sure.
And so now, because we're going virtual. So my question to you is this.
Yeah.
School of thought A is that all the suburbs right now, these prices are way overinflated. And once, you know, there's a vaccine and once we're kind of back to normal, Manhattan and Brooklyn will fill up again and these prices will deflate, right? That's school of thought A. School of thought B is it's never going to be as it was. And, you know, the demand for jobs and yada, yada won't be as big. It won't be as important to live in the city. And there's everything in between. So my question to you is the following. Let's say your mom, your sister, the closest person in your world is like, Sean, I'm buying a house in Westchester today.
Yeah.
Are you like, hang tight, I think these prices are a bit high? Or are you like, there's no better time? Or something? Where are you at?
For sure. Yeah, no, for
future?
sure. So I, you know, from those two standpoints, I kind of stand in the middle. I think there's going to be a much more hybrid approach to how people go back to work. And I'm with you. You know, I used to spend, you know, this like 12 to 15 hours a day in the office. I never saw the kids, was rarely home with the wife. And so I would never trade that back again. I think what I've learned from this is that you can really structure your time much better to get your work in, spend time with your family, be flexible, show properties. You can do all that stuff. So I think what people will experience when they come out to Westchester is that the flexibility of space. You just don't have that flexibility of space in the city. And so like right now I'm standing in a makeshift classroom that my wife put together. And it's like a classroom for the girls. She put their stuff on the wall, awesome. And it's like this was a storage room that we had in the house. You know,
looks like my master bedroom.
Yeah, and it's a 10 by 10, like 10 by 11 room. It's a standard like bedroom, just like in the city. But this was added space that we had because we needed to make a shift, and we were able to just move all the stuff out. We moved it into another room, which was my gym. We moved the gym into another space. You know what I mean? You just don't have that flexibility in the city. So,
you think prices will hold? You think prices will kind of hold? You don't see a big dip or whatever?
No, I think there's going to be a continued flow. I think, you know, what we saw this year was a massive increase. And if I was going to advise my family and my friends to buy, I would tell them you can either buy at today's high or you could buy tomorrow's high. It's just really, it's completely up to you. So what I would say though, is that if you're going to be purchasing, your financial preparedness needs to be solid. It is a much, much different experience, like we were saying earlier, than just buying a condo. So you should have a solid financial standing before you make the move to buy a house. Because whether you're buying new construction or you're buying a resale, there will inevitably be things that come up. And it's one important thing to keep in mind is that you're responsible for all of it. You're not only just responsible for the house, but you're also responsible for all the land that you have as well. And so maintaining that land is essentially a second home. Is
there a percentage you would recommend? So let's say I'm buying $1 million house. Would you say like, if it was a co-op, you know, they talk about post-closing assets.
Yeah.
If I'm buying $1 million house, would you say like, you know, have 3% or 30 grand on the side for just in case, 5%? Yeah. Like, is there a percentage basis of people like? I mean,
comfortably, if you're going to buy a resale property, I would say 5%. There's going to be, your mechanicals, the heart of the home, you know, your boiler, your furnace, your hot water heater. Those things should be in great shape when you purchase a home. You should have some clarity as to when the roof was replaced or wasn't replaced. These are things that I did not know.
I'm listening to you. It's like you're speaking. I would be completely useless. I don't even know what a boiler looks like, Sean.
Yes.
I don't know what a boiler looks like.
These are things that I did not know.
Dad, if you're watching, don't be ashamed of me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, you'll be protected for those things, and they do have warranties. But for the most part, there are so many things like the thousands and thousands of dollars that I've spent on landscaping.
Right.
Like, I don't landscape anything in Queens. You know what I mean? Like, it's nothing to landscape in Queens.
Landscape is like a haircut, right? Like,
Yeah, no, and here it's a whole situation. You know what I mean? So, yeah, so it's just things to keep in mind. But if I was advising someone, I would definitely stay it in the market now. I think your timing right now is going to be moderately excellent. We're going into the winter, and so the winter will be a slower market, just like in any other market, and so it could be a good opportunity for you
could be
to get
sometime.
something.
Cool.
Yeah.
The Lidvac team asks a question that got emailed into us. What do you need to look
Mhm.
out for when buying a house versus a condo? I'm also going to add on to that because we got a couple minutes left. So the
Yep.
question is this: what do you look out for when buying a house versus a condo? And if you could just add any tips for buying now. So you know when you know I moved to Williamsburg in 2010, and it was crazy bidding wars all day long here. And so we developed like a tip manual for buyers to win bidding wars. So whatever, and anything that you have to offer in the way of house versus condo, and how do you compete in this market?
Yeah, for sure. Being first to market is essential. So I mean, my clients that I'm taking out on Sunday, we're looking at a few coming soon. Working with an agent, working with a company's agent, working with myself, there is a clear advantage that we have over the rest of the marketplace by being able to see what's going to come on the market beforehand.
Right.
So I would say be first to market and just do your homework. Make sure that you are prepared to purchase, that you understand all that is going to be included in your purchase, whether it's like inclusions through outdoor furniture or indoor furniture, or exclusions if there's something that you don't want included in the sale.
Right.
And then I would say more so than anything else, there are some really clear differences, but you should expect to have the same liquidity events, like your 10% down at contract signing, and then the remainder down at the closing.
Sean, we lost your audio, bud. Can't hear you. Sean, can't hear you, buddy. We lost your audio. We need like a musical technical difficulties. Oh, Sean left. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Sean Sasso talking to us about Westchester. I think we got through oh, here we go. He's coming back.
I'm back.
You're back.
All right,
No
cool.
sweat.
Wow, sorry about that.
Nothing
All right,
sweat.
so yeah, so more so than anything else, there will be definite and inherent differences in purchasing a condo versus purchasing a house. And when you are making that purchase, it's just important to understand what's going to be included, how you're going to go about that process. And it's overall just important to speak with your agent and just get some clarity on that before you make any steps.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Sean, thanks. One thing that worked really well for us, as you know, I'm a student of psychology for nearly a decade now, and part of why we've been so successful in getting transactions across the table is helping buyers and sellers get out of their own way, right? And so
sure.
I've been a buyer and a seller multiple times. I've bought and sold multiple of my own homes, and it's really easy to get stuck in principle, right? Like on either side of the transaction. And so a line that we use, which you're welcome to use if it works for you, constantly is, with buyers especially, is, listen, everybody's different. There's no wrong way to be. But you got to ask yourself this question and be really honest with yourself. Do you want the home or do you want the deal? Because if you want the home,
very good question.
And it's $1 million, and like, you know it's going to be a bidding war, then put in an offer for, $1,025,000 or $1,050,000 off the bat, 50 grand ultimately in the whole grand scheme of things at 5%, when you break it down over 30 years. So look, you just got to be okay that at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, you're the one that won the bidding war. If you could have had it for 20 grand less, you got to be okay not to kick yourself, because you wanted the home. Sure. You wanted the home, not the deal. If you want the deal, fine, whole different conversation. And for me too, because a couple of places that we bought, we bought in Williamsburg at the height of the market. We were always competing, and it's a question I would ask myself, like, dude, you're an animal for a deal.
Yeah, that's right.
But you know what? If you spend 20, 30, 40 grand more on this home, is it really going to change your life? Or are you just living in principle? And if you're living in principle, you might miss on many properties.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
And so so that's something we found helpful, is to just help purchasers get some frame around, like, listen, this is like, when you're buying a car, you want the best possible deal. When you're buying a house, you still want the best possible deal. But if you got to overpay by, 10, 20, 30 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand for what's ultimately going to be, again, when you're buying in Brooklyn, it's a 2 to 5 year buy. Probably you're buying in Westchester, it's probably 10, 15, 17, 20-year buy.
Yeah. Depends on the size of the house. Yeah, for sure. I mean,
That's right.
and that's definitely a conversation I have with all my clients. I have a very different approach to dealing with my buyers. I tell them, flat out, like, look, I may not be able to find you your dream house. You're gonna know your house when you walk into it.
That's right.
My job isn't to really find you the house. My job is to make sure you get the one that you find.
That's right.
Because
That's right.
when you're walking into a competitive market and you have multiple buyers that are lining up, the way that I look to structure the deal and the way that I communicate with the seller's agent, and just my ability to be ahead of the curve when we're looking at properties,
right,
will make sure that you get the house that you actually want. Because there are going to be a ton of other people that also want the same house.
Well, I think that's something that's really underestimated in the marketplace. Actually, like my wife's a physician assistant in the emergency room. Now I have WebMD, but if there's a medical issue, I'm not going to be like, well, I have a WebMD, so I'm good. I'm going to go to the experienced professional that does this day in and day out. And just because they're Street Easy and Zillow, it gives buyers this false sense of confidence, like they could just they're a good negotiator, so they could just negotiate. Yeah. Whereas in fact, this is negotiating real estate is a skill that when you're doing it every day, it's
And I think what buyers coming from the city will come to find out more than anything else is that there are very different nuances that come to every single pocket and market of Westchester. It is a lot like the city where each pocket does have its own characteristics, right? But it's really hard to pinpoint those things looking from the outside in. Yeah, man, bring them in and let's sit down and have a conversation with them and try to educate them on the market.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you this. I am you only get one name, you only get one brand, and I am extremely selective with my referral partners. And I could say wholeheartedly that if you do give Sean Sasse a call, you'll have great service. He's not about just getting the deal done. He's really about best interest and caring about, I mean, that's why, we've known each other for many years now and speak on a regular basis and, et cetera. So, Sean, it's 12:33. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you
so much for your time. If you've got any final tips or thoughts for anyone, be happy to.
Yeah, I would say, more so than anything else, just be prepared to work. It is going to be a little bit of work, but be prepared to have fun as well. Because it is a new experience, and it is a really great one. I think if you do make the shift from the city to Westchester, you will really love it. Cool. You'll love the outdoor fires. You'll love the screened-in porches, the movie nights with the kids. all that stuff. It's a great experience. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, Sean, thanks so much for your time, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. All right. See you guys. Be safe.
Take care, guys. Take care, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye.